Will a Cardinals legend be the key to helping Marvin Harrison Jr. reach his potential this season, have his breakout year that myself and every Cardinals fan is not just expecting but hoping for? Might be the move. Welcome back to Cardinals Daily. I'm Eddie Law. Hit that sub, hit that bell, let's get right to it, ladies and gentlemen. Something I've been thinking about for a minute. The Cardinals we don't have a ton of legends, right? We have a few, right? And then Nance Williams, Kurt Warner, Pat Tillman. We have a lot of guys that were incredibly notable in their careers. 100%. Anquan Bolden, Adrian James, and so on and so forth. Now, we had Anquan for the start of his career. He moved on, and Adrian came from the Colts, and he already had basically a Hall of Fame career at that point. But Emmitt Smith, by the way, was also a Cardinal for a minute. But who's the one guy who, when you think Cardinals, you think of this one guy? It's not Kurt Warner. It's not Carson Palmer. Damn sure not Michael Bidwill. And it's not Kyler Murray. Larry Legend. Should we, or should we try, or should someone try, to get Larry Legend, Larry Fitzgerald, to mentor Marvin Harrison Jr.? So Larry Fitzgerald had one of the quietest retirements of all time, as in he never actually announced his retirement. He never said anything. The dude just kind of packed up his stuff in his locker room, said bye to the boys and bailed. Now, it's something he did every single year, right? Not like retiring or leaving and walking away. But he was always on 1-year deals. He was always like signing right after training camp, because let's face it, he 17 years in, he wasn't trying to do no more training camps and all that. That's a lot for a guy whose body had been put through through it for years, right? So, it's nothing that was weird. When he didn't come back, we were a little surprised, but not shocked, if that makes any sense, right? So it's something we weren't really surprised by. As Fitz, and Fitz he might be the humblest guy. Humblest, is that a word? He might be the humblest man of all time. Certainly in football history, right? He chose to leave the game quietly rather than to get the attention and recognition that he damn sure deserves. He didn't do a farewell tour. He didn't do the way one of the best of all time, Kobe Bryant did. He didn't do like a emotional post on Instagram. He did none of that. He just very quietly went on and started doing what he does now, managing businesses, and I'm sure investments and his philanthropic endeavors and all that. So, cool. He's been out of the game since 2020, and now he's eligible for the NFL Hall of Fame, which he damn sure will get into, and it better be first ballot. Super Bowls be damned. All right, that man had a hell of a career with a ton of different quarterbacks, most of which nobody remembers their names, and still put up astronomical numbers. Look at his stats. Larry Legend, in 17 years with the Arizona Cardinals in the NFL, 1,432 catches, 17,492 receiving yards, 121 touchdowns, 11 Pro Bowls, 3 All-Pro selections. That is an incredible resume. So why should we try to get him to mentor Marvin Harrison Jr.? There's a lot of similarities, at least personality-wise. MHJ is very quiet. He's a very humble guy. Obviously in front of the cameras, we don't get to see what he says and does, and behind the scenes and all that. And hopefully we never will, because usually when you find out what the kind of guy somebody really is, it's because something bad happened. So it's kind of obvious that we should get someone like Larry Fitzgerald to mentor him. Larry Fitzgerald came into the league, I think it was 5th overall out of Pittsburgh, and he had this I don't think because I remember those days, I don't think he had as much pressure on him as Harrison Jr. did. The pressure that Marvin Harrison Jr. is dealing with comes from two places: Larry Fitzgerald, and not even just him directly, just what he did with the Cardinals, and everyone putting that label on him. He's the next Larry. He's the next Larry. And his dad, of course, Marvin Harrison, who's also one of the best receivers to ever play. So, it's if you think about it, it makes sense. But I think it'd be very difficult to get Larry to do it, right? Very, very difficult. Look, so what did Marvin Harrison Jr. do as a rookie? And we're actually going to talk about Marvin Harrison here later on in the show here. Marvin Harrison Jr. last year, 2024, his first year in the league, 62 catches, 116 targets, 885 yards, 8 touchdowns. Okay, Larry Fitzgerald, his rookie season, 58 receptions, 780 receiving yards, and 8 touchdowns for the Cardinals. All right, 3rd overall pick in 2004 NFL draft. 20 years later, Marvin Harrison Jr. It's crazy. You can't write this stuff. So there's just a lot of, it's too many dots that are being connected that it could work. So why not try to get Larry Legend to come back? right? If anyone can get him to come back, I think JG can get him to come back, right? Now, they have asked Larry Fitzgerald, hey, have you been working with Marvin Harrison and all that? They asked him last year, during the rookie year. And he goes, hey, look, I've spoken to him a few times. I told him, hey, do you have any questions? You ever want any advice? You want to talk, whatever? I'm available for you. And then he goes, but, he's got his dad. He can always hit up for knowledge and all that. When I heard that answer, and I saw the clip on it, I thought maybe Marvin Harrison Sr. is a little, protective of his son, which maybe he is. And I might be completely off on that, but I think it's something that's possible. But Larry Fitzgerald, again, is not the kind of guy that wants fanfare anymore. He doesn't want the spotlight, none of that. He still does, certain Arizona Cardinals, season ticket holder events. Like I've been to a couple that he's been at. And then I don't know if he's doing any more of those trips from Arizona to away games. The Cardinals offer those packages to be able to have fans fly out to the away games and all that, and they get to hang out with guys like Patrick Peterson, and I think Tyrann Mathieu's doing one this year. I'm not 100% sure, but either way, he's done a couple. I think one of those or two of those. I'm not 100% sure, but he's still somewhat semi-involved with the franchise. I would love to see him as a coach, honestly, but I don't know if that's his cup of tea. He does have a son that plays football. I think he's a high schooler right now. I think don't quote me on that, but either way, something I was thinking about. I'm like, man, it'd be crazy. Marvin Harrison Jr. in there playing, and who's on the sideline or who's there at practice or who's in his ear all the time? None other than Larry Fitzgerald. That would be amazing. So then I started thinking, okay, who else could we get to help this team out? Who's the guy that needs most help, seemingly, on this team, at least on the offense? Kyler Murray. And who is close to the stature and dealt with some of the same things that Kyler Murray has been dealing with? Russell Wilson. Super Bowl quarterback winning Russell Wilson. Also Super Bowl losing quarterback Russell Wilson. You guys remember, should have given Marshawn the ball, man. What were you thinking, Pete? Pete Carroll with the worst call in Super Bowl, or at least recent Super Bowl history, in my mind. But anyway, I digress. If Russell Wilson turns out to be awful in New York and they cut him, should we sign him to mentor Kyler Murray? I argue yes. Okay. Now, Russell Wilson comes with a truckload of baggage that people don't really think about. Besides, his wife Ciara, who's not really as famous as she used to be, but still. But he's very, like what was it when he was a Broncos? He was like Broncos country, let's ride. I think everyone cringed for Denver fans that day when that came out because that was awful, right? So anyway, why not bring him in? Bring him in, but hey, Kyler does some of the same issues. You guys remember when Russell Wilson first came in, he was moving a lot more, right? Not as much as Kyler does now, or even in the last 7 years, but he was moving a lot more, and he was having to deal with his passes getting batted down. I think he'd be a great addition to the quarterback room to work with Kyler Murray. Now, would he accept that? I think if he gets cut by the Giants because he's trash, because he's terrible, he's physically playing out there, I think he would be open to it. I mean, he seems to be the kind of guy that wouldn't mind mentoring a younger player. So just something I thought about when I was thinking about this Marvin Harrison thing with Larry Fitzgerald. I think it'd be a great move. I think it's something that if they do it, if I'm Monty, I try to do it, right? I wait for Wilson to if he gets waived or whatever, to get past that waiver period, and I immediately go call him up. Hey, can you come help us work with Kyler Murray? I mean, look, why not, right? I think it'd be a good move, and we have a spot. We only have 2 quarterbacks on the active roster right now, and we got one on the practice squad. Now the Clayton 2 moved on, so there you go. All right, lots of questioning very recently for some reason about the Kyler Murray Marvin Harrison Jr. connection. Now I talked about the stats for Marvin Harrison Jr. last year. Okay, 62 catches on 116 targets, 885 yards and 8 touchdowns. The one that gets me is they completed 54.4% of targets in 2024. We need that up in order for Marvin Harrison Jr. to be the superstar we believe he is, that I believe he is, that I think we all believe he is, and I think he will eventually get to. I think it's going to take a lot more. It's going to take a lot more work with the offense, right? Look, if you guys look at our wide receiver room, Marvin Harrison Jr., we just name him wide receiver 1 because he's a top 4 pick. He's Marvin Harrison Jr. He showed flashes of greatness last season. So he's our default, wide receiver 1, WR1. Number 2 is Michael Wilson. But if you look at the gap in talent, in my mind, in my eyes, the eye test and all that, he's not really the best choice for 2. I think I would put him at 3. I think we need to go get a wide receiver 2 to help out help these guys out. I think and I said it last show. Quentin Johnson to me is the guy. Go get him from the Chargers. Sure, he's in concussion protocol right now. He hasn't practiced at all, but that also means physically he should be okay. Once he clears the protocol, he should be able to be ready to go. And it's not a bad thing if you give him like a 5th round pick for him. He's a former first rounder, right? So he had the potential, he had the stats, he had the pedigree, whatever you want to call it, to be able to play. So why not go get him? So I'm on that, right? You bring him in, get him a legit wide receiver 2. I think you'll see that connection between Kyler and Marvin just skyrocket, right? Because you can't triple him no more. You can double him if you want to. If Quentin's who I think he is, or who I think he would be on this offense, and then Michael Wilson comes in as wide receiver 3, and then Zay Jones and Greg Dortch and all those guys, I think that's a recipe for like greatness. That's a recipe for the breakout season we need from Marvin Harrison Jr. So just something I thought about. The local sports guys, you guys know, if you're any city you're in, just tune into your local sports guys in the morning, okay, and at noon. It's always those two for some reason. Sometimes in the afternoon we have a couple guys here, but those guys are just like doom and gloom about everything. We have one guy here. He used to be in Chicago, and I get it. In Chicago, everyone hates everything. Even when they're doing great, they hate everything. But come on, man. Like, relax. Now, he makes some good points, sure, but most of his points are crap. I'll say it. And so there you go. All right, last thing here on tonight's show. I know it's super light. It's always a week or two before the season starts. This is a dead week. There's nothing going on. Plenty of college football. Shout out Arizona State and Arizona winning their opening games big time at home. But not a lot to talk about in terms of NFL. But that changes this week. All right, changes this week. First game on Thursday. We get a game on Friday, and then of course the Sunday games, which I will, I'll definitely be reporting on our run over in New Orleans. And then of course I'm home season ticket holder, so I'll be at every home game this year, of course. But my hot take: there has been some discussion about why people aren't or shouldn't be excited about the Cardinals in the NFC West. Rob Gronkowski did that on his podcast with Julian Edelman, and Julian Edelman was looking at him like he was crazy. He's like, "What are you talking about?" But it makes a good, it brings a good topic discussion. Who else is anybody looking at the NFC West? The Rams. Matt Stafford, spent the entire offseason, getting his back worked on because he's old and he's taking a lot of damage, and he's going to be a Hall of Famer. He definitely deserves to be, and he is a Super Bowl quarterback or Super Bowl winning quarterback. But it's still like that team's getting old. They did bring in some youth, of course. They don't have Aaron Donald anymore and stuff like that. So in terms of being excited, I'm not excited about the Rams at all. The Niners, even less. You can't tell me you think Brock Purdy's the guy. There's no way you think Brock Purdy's the guy. I think they hit, they caught lightning in a bottle for a season or two, and then, kind of fell off, right? Christian McCaffrey, CMC, gets injured every day, it seems. They let go of a bunch of guys. Debo's gone. That defense lost a few guys. Like, I think they're going to be last in the NFC West, which is my opinion. And, of course, the Seahawks are a non-starter right now. Not until Sam Darnold can prove he can do it with two different teams. Because he did it great with the Vikings, 100%. But I don't think he's going to do well with the Seahawks, especially now that DK's gone. But why should anybody be excited about the Cardinals being in the Cardinals in the NFC West? The plain and simple, why wouldn't you be? We bolstered the hell out of the defensive line. Our defense is, at least on paper right now, but I think it will be incredibly good. Right? That connection between Marvin Harrison, which we talked about right now, and Kyler is going to be, I think, highly improved. We have a two-headed monster in the running back. We have an improved offensive line. I think we're one wide receiver away from this high-flying offense that we want to actually take place. And again, keep in mind, we're a running team by complete accident. We're a running team, so it's going to be very balanced and everything with a lot of really hard-nosed, like really like battle it out type of football. So it's just something I thought it was weird that Rob Gronkowski was like, "Who's excited about the Cardinals ever?" Don't worry about it, bro. Don't worry about it. All right? I know you got 8,000 Super Bowl. How many Super Bowls you got with the Patriots and the Bucks? But still. Anyway, that's gonna do it for that's gonna do it for this episode of the Cardinals Daily. I made it all. Don't forget to hit that sub, hit that bell, hit that like, leave a comment. I'll see you all tomorrow. Go Cardinals, ladies and gentlemen. It is football week 1.